All right, welcome to part 2 of our Q&A series. My producer, Eric, organized some questions into different categories. Last one, how to do a sleep. Check it out if you haven't. And this one has to do with heart and breathing, things like that. Dizziness, so like circulation, stuff like that. All right, question number 1. What's causing my dizziness when I stand up? All right, that's a fun question. So it has to do with blood pressure, obviously. Blood will want to kind of go where gravity influences it, but your body has a lot of mechanisms to keep blood up in your brain. The main mechanism, though, has to do with your adrenal gland. So you see, in your carotid artery, there's a baroreceptor. So there's a receptor that's sensing pressure going up to your brain. And say if you are laying down or you're seated and then you get up, blood's going to want to go down towards your feet where gravity is influencing it, but you have this little pressure receptor that has a direct line of communication to your adrenal glands. And what happens normally is when you change posture quickly and blood starts to go away from your brain, your receptor sends a signal to your adrenals, and your adrenals release a little bit of adrenaline to momentarily spike your heart rate and blood pressure to keep blood pressure even in your brain. So if you actually had like a pressure cuff on your arm, it would look like your blood pressure went up when you go from seated to standing, but in your brain it should stay even. If you're experiencing adrenal fatigue, which can be caused by a lot of things, like overtraining, for example, or just an extended period of stress without enough rest over time, which can happen when like through pregnancy and labor and having a newborn, for example, or it can happen to athletes that overtrain, or even non-athletes that overtrain. You can get adrenal fatigue, and that is a symptom of adrenal fatigue. All right, number 2. Why do I feel short of breath even when my lungs are fine? All right, well, I would ask, how do you know your lungs are fine? How do you know this? Did you get like an x-ray? Did you get like scoped? All right, so let's just say like you don't have lung cancer, emphysema, or something like that, but you're still shortness of breath. I would ask, like, is it all the time? Is there certain situations, certain triggers that make you short of breath? Like, are you in shape? Do you train your lungs enough? Are your lungs strong enough in general? So I think there's a lot of variables there. I don't know exactly how to answer that because it's kind of general, but short of breath, I would also check for other symptoms. Like maybe you think you're short of breath, but you're actually kind of in more of a panicky state. So I would check the overall feeling state that you're in right now. Because I remember when I was like high anxiety in my life, shortness of breath was pretty common when I was getting into like more of a panicky state. So not like a panic attack state, but more panicky, or I was more in defense physiology, breathing got a little more labored. So I would think in that direction. Number 3, why is my heart racing if my heart tests are normal? Well, depends on the depth of your, typically they're just going to do blood work and look at certain heart numbers, certain things that they're looking at, and it's going to be like, yeah, it looks pretty good. There's things that won't show up in labs that be done in like a more in-depth testing. But if your heart's racing, even though your heart's normal, I would say think stress. So your heart's fairly dynamic. In fact, most of our body's fairly dynamic, meaning it's not about what it's doing, it's about what's going on to initiate why your body would want to be doing something. So for example, if I was to tell you my heart beats per minute, my heart rate was 70 beats per minute, you'd say, okay, that's pretty good. But if I were to say it's 160 beats per minute, you'd be quite worried about me, as well you should. But if I were to tell you I was in a dead sprint, and right after the dead sprint I checked my heart rate, you'd be like, okay, that makes sense. You can get, your heart can be working in a healthy way at really high rates if that's where you're pushing your heart to. Again, just like we call bradycardia, if your heart rate was really low, say 40 beats per minute, people might say you have a diagnosis, there's something wrong with you. But if you're an elite athlete, especially an endurance athlete, that might be a pretty healthy heart rate. So heart rate's meant to be dynamic. If your nervous system thinks you might be running from a tiger or under some kind of perceived threat, it might spike your heart, thinking you're about to run for your life or fight for your life. So if your heart's racing, even though your heart tests are normal, think, have I been triggered by something? And if so, ask yourself why. So compassionate inquiry. Wonder why my body's doing this. Why do I have chest tightness when I'm stressed? All right, well, let's kind of see the above answer. Chest tightness with other symptoms combined could be a sign of a real heart issue. But it just feels tight and it's hard to extend. Think fight or flight. Think you've been triggered. So feeling stressed out is one symptom of being triggered. Not everyone gets the emotional side of it. A lot of times just look for signs in the body. Tight chest, labored breathing might be you're under fight or flight and you're not processing your emotions in a productive way. You're not allowing yourself to have feelings of the moment. Think in resistance to the present moment. How do I know if palpitations are benign or serious? The answer to that would effectively having to go see a specialist. Palpitations are pretty normal. If your heart palpitates, I wouldn't worry about it. Your heart's very dynamic. Look up heart rate variability. Your heart is not a metronome. In fact, it is kind of metronome-like when you're under extreme stress. It beats like a metronome on the beat, and then like right before you die, your heart goes really solid. But everything else, there's this high heart rate variability. Your heart's doing all kinds of different things. And so most of the time, if it's just that only symptom is palpitations, wouldn't worry about it. If you are worried, you gotta see a specialist and get your heart checked out more in depth. All right, where are we in here? Okay, why does my heart rate spike after meals? Okay, if your heart rate spikes after meals, think there's a couple things. So I think like maybe some neurotransmitter changes, like dopamine could do that to some degree. Certain meals actually can be kind of triggering, like I mentioned heart rate variability in an earlier question. Certain foods introduced to your system can alter your heart rate variability because it can alter your stress function. So your nervous system going from a mode of, say, digestion and rest into defense physiology. So it sounds like if you're asking that question, you're probably tracking your heart rate a lot. I would wonder if it's every meal, every time you eat, but I would play around with eating really simple foods. If I just eat an apple, does my heart rate spike? If I eat like a pizza, does my heart rate spike? And I would start investigating that. What causes random lightheadedness even with hydration? Okay, well, I would ask, how do you know you're hydrated? Doesn't matter if you drink water, you have to have the adequate electrolytes and minerals in order to be hydrated. And in fact, there is like a condition going around with healthy people that drink too much filtered water without the minerals, and they're always thirsty all the time, and they're always carrying jugs around them to the gym or these giant water bottles. They've depleted their minerals, and now they can't be hydrated. So they're always thirsty, and they're always trying to be hydrated. They are not. So I would investigate that first. That being said too, how do you know you're hydrated? Like a lot of the water that we have, your body has no reservoir for besides your bladder, meaning this water is unstructured, and so it goes in your system, and your body can work towards structuring some of it, meaning it actually could hydrate you. It can go in your cells. But most of the water that we drink probably just goes into your bladder and then exits. Unless your body really needs it, it can convert some of it, assuming everything else is working. So what I'm talking about here is structured water, or phase 4 water, which is the actual water that our body uses, not the stuff that's coming out of your faucet or coming out of your water bottles. However, nature provides some structured water. Like if you eat raw fruits and vegetables, like you'll get some structured water there. So that could be hydrating, or it doesn't have to be eating them. You can have like pressed juices. So if you use like a cold pressed juice, that'll be structured. But you can structure water on your own really easily. That should probably be its own video. But I'd say, how do you know you're hydrated? You might not be. So that lightheadedness could be you're not actually proper hydrated, even though you're drinking a lot of water. Again, lightheadedness can just come from a circulatory issue as well, and also adrenal. Okay, how do anxiety and acid reflux mimic heart symptoms? Okay, well, part of anxiety is something that could just get your heart to race a little bit more, so you can start feeling that in your chest. But part of anxiety too, as I'm learning to understand, is a symptom of a divided heart. So your heart's pulled in too many directions, and that seems more abstract and maybe like metaphysical. However, I'm not so sure. I think anxiety is kind of the feeling of your heart being pulled in different directions. So your focus and your fears are scattered. And what will maybe solve that is looking at the thing in front of you that needs your attention. What actually needs my attention and energy in this moment? And that can be a potential solve for anxiety. Acid reflux, however, it's just a geography issue. It's location. So acid reflux is going to come up into this direction, up your esophagus. And so your stomach is meant to have acid. It can handle quite a bit just by its own physiology, but your esophagus isn't really meant to deal with acid. So if you get a little bit of reflux up into your esophagus, that tissue is going to hurt. And it's technically burning, but it will just come to your mind as pain. And where your esophagus happens to be is right like behind your heart. And so it's going to feel like it's heart pain, but it's just pain in that region. And that's why they get confused a lot. All right, this looks like the last one. When should shortness of breath be treated as urgent? I would say you're looking at other symptoms there as well. Shortness of breath isn't like a problem all on its own. Like if you're out of shape and you just like walk up the stairs to the bedroom or something, you're short of breath, that might just be your body telling you like maybe like work out a little bit more. But if it's with other symptoms like sweating and like chest pain or like loss of language, like mixing up your words or just cognition changes in general, those all, when you combine those, that's when we're talking urgent emergency situation. Just shortness of breath on its own is not really a worry unless there's absolute no reason for you to have short breath, meaning you haven't exerted yourself at all. You're just sitting on the couch, shortness of breath. Okay, what's going on there? Maybe, like we mentioned in an earlier answer, you've just been triggered into more of a defense physiology, a fight or flight, in which case you're gonna have shallower breathing. That's part of the nature. When you're resting, you can have deep, low, like full belly breathing, but under fight or flight, like you're gonna just have shallow, rapid breathing. So I would say if you can override that system and just try to do belly breathing, like breathing all the way down using your diaphragm, then I would say you were just triggered and you can force yourself into better breathing to kind of correct that. If that doesn't work, you might just be in a state of panic, and it's hard to override your shallow breathing if you're in full panic mode. Again, I'm looking for other symptoms to combine with shortness of breath when it becomes really urgent, as symptoms I mentioned before. So, all right, that is heart and circulation and breathing Q&A done. Please send your own questions in. I enjoy answering them. And if you get anything out of these, then let me know about that. And look forward to next time. See you guys.